We are in the basics, and we're talking about Jesus right now, and the primary question is whether or not Jesus is God. To get there, we're asking what kind of evidence do we have for the suggestion that Jesus is who he claimed to be. So yesterday we looked at the extra biblical accounts. Today I want to just note that we have the New Testament documents themselves, which are not insignificant. So the New Testament is comprised of 27 books. We have the 4 Gospels. Evangelion is the word. These are sort of biographies, sort of not fully biographies, but they give an account of the life, death, resurrection, ascension of Jesus Christ. Then we have the book of Acts, which is the first 30 years of the church, history of what happens after Christ's death. Then we have a bunch of letters. Paul wrote most of them, but we also have letters by Peter and James and John. And then we have a couple other books. We got the book of Hebrews, which reads like a sermon. We don't know who wrote it. We've got the book of Revelation, so sort of the final apocalyptic look into the future, look into heaven that comes from John. So the New Testament documents are all written, and they tell us this. This isn't hidden. They say, we're writing these things so that you will believe that Jesus is the Christ. He is the Messiah. He's the fulfillment of Jewish prophecy. We're writing this to persuade you that you should put your faith in Jesus and gain forgiveness of sins and eternal life. So, doesn't that make all of these documents suspect? Like, why would we trust them? These people are writing with a particular bias. Okay, good question. There are a handful of reasons I choose to trust the New Testament documents. First of all, they read like what they claim to be, which is first century historical accounts. Despite the presence of miracles, there's not that many miracles, but there are miracles. Despite the presence of miracles, they don't read like myth. They don't read like that kind of genre. They don't start a long time ago in a faraway land. They read like historical accounts. They ground things in history. And they don't make efforts to work out the difficulties and the rough spots. They don't make the disciples look good. They don't answer every question. They read like the kind of things that they claim to be, which is first and second century historical accounts. Secondly, they were written very close to the time of the events that they're describing. So when I was going to college, one of the big raps against the New Testament was that these were documents that were written a long time after the events they described, during which time there was enough time for myth to develop. So that theory has really been challenged because, first of all, we've got all these documents that are quoting from the New Testament. So they're written in all kinds of other languages. They're written in Latin, and they're written in Syriac, and there's all these letters, all these other extra biblical accounts that are first and second century accounts that are quoting from the New Testament. So the New Testament had to be in circulation back then for them to quote from it. And then additionally, you have the fragments of actual accounts of the Gospels and other things. So I've seen some of these fragments, you know, John Ryland's fragment is Cambridge when I was doing a sabbatical over there. You could see these, because again, remember, these texts were handwritten, and they're written on animal skins, and they're written on papyrus. And in order to write something, you couldn't go to Home Depot and buy ink, buy pens. Like, you had to come up with your own ink, and not everybody came up with great ink, and so things faded, and you got all that challenges. So we don't have lots of these, but we do have some. And some of these we can date way back and say that we have enough historical, archaeological kinds of evidence to say there was not a long time frame during which people could create myth. A lot of these documents were written during the time when eyewitnesses were around to contest them. third, I'll just say the documents were written in blood. So most of the disciples, most of the apostles, not Judas, not John, but the rest are going to lose their life for the claims they are making. Now, some people say, well, that just means you can't trust them. We want our reporters, we want our historians to be dispassionate and objective. Otherwise, they've got a bias, you can't trust it. Okay, I get that. But let me ask this. Why would we not trust documents written by somebody who say, I absolutely believe this to be true, and I am going to lose my life. I am going to suffer persecution and death for claiming they're true. I believe they're true. Now, you can say, and some people say that the disciples, the apostles were misled and that they died for a lie. But it's really hard to argue that they didn't believe that lie. And I obviously don't think it's a lie. I think that it was true. So, look, I think there are good reasons to trust the Bible, the biblical documents. And so is there evidence to believe that Jesus was a real person and he made these claims? Yes, we have extra biblical evidence and we have the biblical evidence as well. Have a good day.